morning and welcome to Ark and Dove Presbyterian Church in Odenton, Maryland. I'm Brian Boudreau, the clerk of session here at Ark and Dove and your host in the lobby, the weekly program of the life and ministry of the church. So this week is the fourth Sunday after Epiphany, and we will be talking to one of our new elders, Katie Nielsen Johnson, in just a few minutes. But before that, let's dive in to our announcements. Now, the big one is tonight is the congregational meeting. So we don't want to miss that. The annual congregational meeting will be at 7 p.m. It's via Zoom. You should have received an invitation for that. This is a hybrid meeting. So if you don't want to join in Zoom, please come join us in the sanctuary to participate. So you can do it either way. There's lots of, either way you want to participate, and there'll be lots of chances for you to contribute and have your voice heard. And after the congregational meeting, stay online or in the sanctuary for the pub trivia night. The adult ed team is hosting the pub trivia night. It's immediately afterwards. There'll be things like Bible trivia and church history and lots of other questions that have nothing to do with church, I promise you. So please stay online. And you can submit trivia questions through a Google form. Now that's found in the archive, so you can find the form to do that. Now, also, we are starting this week the in-person services. It may be, if you can get over here in the next couple of minutes, you could probably do that. But if you've RSVP'd, so that's what we're asking everybody to do. The in-person worship will continue for the 10:30 service with limited in-person attendance. So we are asking everybody to RSVP online before they come. Like I said, it's limited numbers, and we're also still wearing our masks inside. So on February 6th, we will bring back the in-person 9 a.m. worship service and Sunday school. The Sunday school will be at the 10:30 service. So we hope to have everything back to where we were before Omicron hit. We will be continuing the name tags. We have name tags for you when you come into the church. And there's also some sort of plastic badges so you can use the same name tag week in and week out. Now, you should be getting your end of year giving statements. Those were emailed out on the 17th of January. So please check your email, especially the spam folder if you haven't received it yet. This will be good for your taxes. Now, our children and youth programs are continuing. Now, there's no youth group this Sunday because of the annual meeting, but after that, the following week, we will continue. Middle school is at 4 o'clock and high school is at 5 o'clock here at the church, weather permitting. And if in case of inclement weather, the crew will meet on Zoom. Pastor John will send out notification and invites for that. So Logos will meet on Tuesday at the church from 6 to 7 p.m., but dress warmly for about 15 minutes of outside activity. We want to make sure of that. And as always, for any of our indoor activities, especially with the children, we are continuing to wear masks. So we have N95 masks here, child size, available at the church if you don't have any of those already. If you're not getting the regular communications, please reach out to Amy Goldberg and her email address, which is in the archive. We have our midweek Bible study that continues every Wednesday at 10 a.m. If you're looking for the link for that, contact Pastor John. Also, there's been a change to the afternoon tea. So the afternoon tea will be moving from Thursdays at 3 p.m. to another time, but Joan Barry has not selected that yet. If you do have a preference, please contact her and let her know. Otherwise, she'll be reaching out sometime after February 1st. Now, deacons are looking for your help. One of the ways we care for our friends and members of the congregation is to provide meals for them. If you're interested in helping the deacons team to prepare meals for members of the Ark and Dove community, please reach out to Annetta Fenstermacher via phone or email. We also have our Earth Care team will be meeting on February 2nd at 7:30 p.m. via Zoom to discuss the Earth Care Congregation Earth Care projects for 2022. So you can contact Bob Fuller to get the Zoom invitation for that. And finally, the Healing Through Grief group will be meeting on Wednesday, February 9th at 7:30 p.m. The Healing Through Grief group will be led by Pastor Tim, Kathy Debus, and Lenny Gerdner. If you're interested in getting the Zoom invite, please reach out to Pastor Tim or Lenny Gerdner for that invitation. So as I said earlier, tonight is the annual meeting, and we will be welcoming our new elders and deacons. So over the coming weeks, I will be talking to our new elders and deacons, and today we have Katie Nelson Johnson joining us in the lobby. Welcome, Katie. It's so good to have you on the program.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
You are going to be our new elder for
Outreach and Connections.
Outreach and Connections. And how do you understand Outreach and Connections?
Outreach and Connections is kind of divided into a couple of different streams. So outreach being kind of as it says on the tin, outreach into the community, and connecting them, not really that part of the connections though, to the church, letting folks know that we're here, seeing if we can meet their needs in a church, and then connections being within the church community, sort of. This is the different events that we have throughout the year. This is the welcome table with snacks, the greeters, a bunch of different parts.
Fortunately, you are, at least as far as I know you, a very outgoing person. And so I think you're a perfect person for the Outreach and Connections job.
I am a very extroverted introvert, so this works.
But we do like to talk to other people. So let's get to know you just a little bit. In fact, you were a member of Ark and Dove for a while, and then you took a little hiatus. And what did you do then?
We joined Ark and Dove the first time in 2017, and then moved away to New Jersey in 2018 so I can do a career change. I went to Rutgers for my second master's because I have a problem continuing, like, just loving school. And then we moved back in 2020. After my grad school is done, since Grace is a federal contractor and I can work from pretty much anywhere in the humanitarian sector, we wanted to move back here.
All right. So what are you doing now, if you can tell us?
Yes, I am on the evidence to action team with the International Rescue Committee, which means I do evidence synthesis. So I write reports to encourage our technical units, our practitioners, our country teams on different humanitarian interventions that have been proven to work and that we have the studies to back it up. We want our efforts to be evidence-backed so that we are maximizing our impact.
This is a wonderful impact. This is sort of the kind of making a difference in the world. I just love that. Are you working from home, or do you go somewhere to work and do this?
Entirely home-based. My entire team is. I actually have been with them for 3 years or 2.5 years now, and I have never met my boss in person.
I'm going to admit I know you a little bit, so I have some guilty knowledge. But you very much are driven by sort of service and what I would even consider knowledge. And how would you describe yourself to others who haven't met you?
I feel like I tend to have no free time, so I love to fill it with stuff. With taking an elder role makes sense. It kind of is that I don't sit still well. I like to stay busy, and contribute whenever I stay busy. So I'm a quilter, but in my free time, I also contribute to the Welcome Blanket Project that makes quilts for new refugees in the US. I also have my herding dog, who has been on the lobby before this past summer, Olive. And just a few weeks ago, we added to the animal component of our family by buying a horse that I've been working with, because I also ride dressage. So when I said I have no free time, it's either church stuff, work stuff, or animal stuff.
We're going to have to rewind just a little bit because you said you have a horse now. Yeah. And so what do you do with the horse?
So I ride dressage, which for folks who have watched the Olympics, that's the dancing horses. My horse is not very happy with this change of events for her because she sometimes finds dressage a little boring because she has to work a little harder.
So tell us a little bit then about your background. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from outside Lancaster City in Pennsylvania. So folks might know it more for Amish country. or for Hershey Foods. I grew up 20 minutes from Hershey. My parents' church is in Hershey. I worked for the Hershey Company in high school and on my breaks in college.
Far enough away, it's a little bit of a trip, but it's familiar mid-Atlantic territory.
Exactly.
And also explains why you're interested in things like dressage and horses.
I grew up as a field hunter, so went out with fox hunters and that sort of thing growing up. But as an adult, I need to stay a little closer to the ground.
Let's talk about a little bit about your vision for the Outreach and Connections mission and what you hope to do over the next 3 years.
My first goal is to be talking to the folks who have been involved in both components. So talking to greeters and the welcome team, talking to folks who have recently joined the church to see what has drawn them to the church, what is working well, what folks might think needs to change. I'd really like to emphasize the diversity already present in Arkanduv as well as grow the diversity. Odenton is not just a homogenous group. And I think we need to recognize that when we're reaching out to the community. Embrace that joy that can come with having a church that represents its community. When we were in New Jersey, we were in a church that we had folks from 4 different continents and multiple countries within them. And having a community like that, it's great for seeing our different traditions, seeing different ways of practicing our faith. And church picnics are kind of great too. So I really like to encourage that.
You have been doing a lot of stuff in the church already. And so if you haven't had a chance to meet you, we've been in book clubs, you've led several of the book groups, the small book groups, and a lot of the other activities I've seen you at all over the place. I'm going to ask you, you've been a member, you left and you came back, but that very first time that you came to Arkanduv, which was a number of years ago, do you remember it?
I know Grace and I were apprehensive. We were coming from a church that we no longer felt comfortable at for various reasons. And we decided we'd try Arkanduv. If we didn't like it, there are other churches in the area, but we really wanted to give this a go. The social media presence and the website seemed to indicate that the church was going to meet the needs that we felt our previous church wasn't. I couldn't tell you what the sermon was about, but I remember it was very reassuring for us that we were in the right place. Folks were incredibly friendly. I remember meeting Lynn Gerner, I think on our first Sunday, since we both come from an anthropology background, being able to talk about that.
Do you remember the walk then from your car to the church?
I think we were maybe running a little late. So I think it was maybe more of a speed walk.
Not too much time to think about what's going to happen, but once I get through those doors.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
the advantage of YouTube churches, that we don't have to worry about being late.
Yes, and that's one thing that will continue, is the live stream service. How do you think, being the Outreach and Connections elder, how does the online live stream service affect your mission and what you have to do?
In part, we have to pay attention to who's active in the chat. Something to think about is if we need to be encouraging more discussion in the chat during the service, or people just want to experience it. From what I've seen, there are some folks who really do want to engage or at least offer comments. We had a fantastic singer last week and people voiced their appreciation in that. Paying attention to that, but also it opens up the opportunity to reach folks outside of Odenton. Before we moved down, we were able to tune in and watch Arkanduv services. So that was nice. So the folks that we're reaching might not be local, but they might have some connection, whether it be family members who said, hey, you should check out this church near us. We really like it. Even though if you're not local, you can still watch. We're having comments about being in Odenton or other parts of Maryland that might help folks discover us.
So a lot to think about, maybe some things that we didn't have to think about 3 years ago on how we approach our outreach and connections.
Yeah, technology is changing and that can offer new opportunities.
Well, Katie, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, for letting us get to know you a little bit better. Always a pleasure to talk to you. So looking forward to seeing what what you have in store for us.
Thanks. And I want to put a plug in for folks to stay on after the annual meeting for the Christian Ed Pub Trivia. It is not just church trivia, so don't be afraid if you couldn't remember how many different species Noah brought or what animals he brought more than 2 of.
Good, because I'm not good at that. So I look forward to tuning in. So thank you. And thank you to everyone out there. And I do want to extend a special thanks to Nicole Howe for her dedication and work with as the Outreach and Connections elder before Katie. So thank you to everybody for tuning in. So glad you could be here this morning. Everything we talked about can be found on the webpage or in the archive email that we send out every Friday. So check that out. In the meantime, keep wearing your mask, get your booster if you haven't gotten your booster, or if you haven't got your vaccination, stay safe, and the live stream service will begin in a moment.